Hello and welcome guys to another episode of Building Crait and Lego. Now I know I have a lot of explaining to do in this video and lots of progress has been made fortunately, so let's get right onto this thing. The first topic that I would like to address during episode 3, week 3, is why isn't week 3 happening in week 3? Well, I'm sorry about that one guys. I've actually been away from my studio, as you may have seen in the week 3 video last week, and that meant that I couldn't do any work on Crait and I couldn't edit or make a video for you. So that's the reason that that didn't happen, and I said I'd probably get an episode out on Monday, but unfortunately the amount of work I had done then wasn't worth showing you. So I just decided to use the footage I'd filmed then and the footage that I would film in the coming week and just have a better episode during Friday. So that's what's happening right now, and I really hope that you're going to enjoy this episode as much as I have enjoyed making this MOC so far. So with all that out of the way, let's get on to it. Lots of questions to ask today, lots of things that I've worked out, and I think that the prototyping phase for Crait is nearly finished. So we can really get into the hard miles. I can order the big orders that I have to make to actually be able to build the large sections of Crait. So there's large trench systems, all of the turrets and such, and the salt flats. Got some questions about the salt flats to ask you guys, but all of that stuff will be happening, and let's just get on to it.
Okay guys, so the first thing we have to show you this week is actually these grey base plates. I know 4 isn't a lot, but I managed to get 4 more, and the reason that that's such a big thing in terms of this MOC is I've actually bought out all of the stores in my vicinity of grey base plates, and they only get out like 4 more each week. The Lego Department of Things in Australia is pretty awful, so I have 4 more base plates, and that is a big help. Any base plates will be great, so I have 4 more. That's about that. Let's move on to the next major thing that's happened in this segment. Kind of a strange-ish update too, but I bought heaps more of my beloved drawers just to facilitate more parts for Crait so I can have those sorted out. You can see there's some stuff going on behind that. But yeah, I bought 2 more units of those and they were pretty cheap, so I'm glad about that one. Now you may be thinking that this area of Crait is looking, well, very messy, and that's because it is. I've been prototyping what I'm going to do for the salt flats, may have decided to change my idea from what I was originally thinking, which is kind of annoying, but I want this MOC to look great, so I'll talk about that more in a minute. But what I want to say here is that I've actually used so many pieces building this MOC already, and I've actually run out of many of the pieces that I really need to make more progress of this MOC. Especially because I started with the trenches, and I want to have the trench systems done first of all in the MOC, because that's probably the funnest thing for me to work on. Because repetitive salt flats aren't exactly something that I want to be working on. But, that being said, I have nearly run out of my supply of parts for the salt flats. Excuse me, my amount of parts and part supply for the trenches, not salt flats in this case. Got lots of stuff for the salt flats. So that signifies that I will be needing to make some more orders in the coming weeks to support my continued progress of the trenches. And you'll see what I've done so far when we get over there. May not look like a lot, but this is the prototyping phase, and what I like to do in the prototyping phase is just working out how I'm actually going to design things. And I've all done this on one grey base plate just so I don't get too big, and if I change my mind it's easy to change. But I think that my mind's pretty set on what I want to do, which is great. So let's get right over there right now. Yes. To the Batmobile! I mean studio! Okay, and here we are at the studio. And as you can see, I have some salt flats in. Now, these, which you will fully see in a moment, are not at all what the final product will look like. You'll see in a moment they are very geometric and not at all natural looking, and that was the point of this experiment. A few people have messaged me on Instagram where I showed some concept pictures of this, and they were asking and telling me that I shouldn't have the salt flats so geometric because it just doesn't look natural and just doesn't look good, and I totally understand that. But this is just the way that it is, so I can wrap my mind around how I want to make the salt flats and how they will look on a big scale. And it was basically just a test, just a prototype, like this whole base plate really is at the moment. You may also be able to see at this point that the area in the back there is incomplete again. That's because during this prototyping phase I changed up the way that I was going to build the trench wall a bit. I didn't particularly like how low it was, and it was a stud out from being normal stud width, which was just very irritating to me for building this in a large scale, because it was so hard to get the angles that I needed to get everything to work together. Very hard when something's half a stud out. But this, what I've done, which I'll show you in a second, does fix that and makes it a lot easier for me. It just means that that back wall has to be incomplete for a while because I don't have the pieces I need to complete it. And here I am getting some nice camera angles and showing you my favorite part of the MOC so far. So I'm just going to quickly show you what I have changed in the MOC. We'll just let the camera focus on a closer part of the MOC to the camera. Take Admiral Emmett there, you can see that the salt flats aren't connected fully yet. But here, before this whole layer, here was a layer lower, so where these plates are at the moment. But what I've done is I've lined the entire thing with these jumper plates, and then put another jumper plate on here, and done all that, and then placed the salt flat edges, I guess you could call them, what actually comes up to the trenches. And that just means that this whole assembly actually fits back onto a normal bricks here, and there's only a small gap instead of it being offset and there being multiple problems, which I would then have to work out. Sorry, my camera focus is a bit off. Anyway, let's come back to the trenches. You can see it still has that great look, and I would beg to argue that putting in this extra layer of height has actually been beneficial for making the trenches more accurate to the in-film representations of the trenches, and I just think it looks really cool, and I just can't wait to see more of what I can do with it. You can also see here that I've done something different for the ladder, and that's still totally temporary. That's just because I'm trying to work out a way of doing it without having to take out the trench, but I've realized now that I'll just have to do it for this part and then make more space to do in the other parts. So that'll mean taking out this bottom layer of trench and having a ladder that bridges between the trenches. So you'll see that in a coming week, depending on what I decide to work on next, which I think we'll know what I'll work on next by the end of the video, but we'll see. Okay, I'm just going to swap camera angles again to show you another major detail of what I've done this week, which I think you'll be very excited about. Let's go see that. Okay, and here's that very exciting part of the mock I was talking about. And this is the start of prototyping what will be the good old tunnels that go all throughout Crait. If you've played the Star Wars Battlefront 2 DLC, the Last Jedi DLC, the first of what I'm sure will be multiple Last Jedi DLCs, you'll know that Crait, the Salt Flats, are plagued, I guess, by multiple tunnels. I'd call them rabbit warrens even. They're all over, just under the surface of Crait, and here's my first attempt at creating them. Now, unfortunately, I do not currently have access to Star Wars Battlefront, seeing as my computer seems to not like me very much, so I don't have good reference of what the tunnels look like. Now, this comes to my first question, before I show you more of what I've created here. If you, personally, have a way to access the game, and feel like helping me out heaps on this mock, I'd very much appreciate it if you could message me on Instagram or Discord or YouTube here, or email me with pictures of the trenches and the entire mock, really. That'd be so helpful for me, and I'd of course be very appreciative. I'd of course give you shout outs in the Crait episodes, and that'd just help me so much. So if you feel like helping out good old Fox Bricks, please do. Now let's get on to actually showing you what these trenches look like. Now I think I'm going to use a bit of a side-on shot for this, so I think I'll change camera angles again. See you in a second. Okay, so I decided to just take out the wall. At the moment, like I've done with the trenches, I've built these wall segments, which basically I can just put onto all of these jumper plates here to make a very nice looking effect in the whole mock, and they just fit on there, and it just makes it very easy for me to go between designs and just work out what I really want these things to look like. So if we go back here, we can see that that's the basic look of the trenches. I put this band in the middle of the red dirt or red rock and mineral, and I think it looks pretty cool. Not sure if it's accurate, that's why I'd like you to give me some more reference material for accuracy. And you can see that this grating that I've done on the trenches continues through here. This whole system continues up into the trenches with these steps on the side of the mock, and I think that looks really cool. So they're just in that corner, and all of this grating, all of the rock detailing at the back, it just turns out looking really cool. A lot of people are straying away from doing such a design with all of these cheese slopes just because they think it would look a bit too random or a bit unnatural, but I feel like the way I've created this does look decently natural, and I've actually created it all on layers. So that's the lowest layer, it goes up, and then it goes up again, just create that kind of tunnel tunnel shaping, I'm going to say. But I think that looks very good, and I'll just show you it from one more angle, and then I can get on to the elephant in the room, or should I say Duplo brick in the room, and that is of course the salt flats. Now I think this is a really cool angle to show off the tunnels. It's from the opposite side of the trenches, where there would be another tunnel, and it's looking through into the tunnels, and I just think it really captures what Crait would look like from a minifigure here, their perspective, but really a resistance or first order soldier in the Battle of Crait. Now, if I bring the focus into the foreground, you can see the grating and then a large step down to the tunnels, which is very deliberate, of course, but it really captures the entirety of Crait, and it looks like a much bigger place than what I have done with the MOC so far is depicting, and I'm very happy about that. Okay, let's move on to the salt flats. Alright guys, so here we are at the salt flats, and you can see I'm using a snot technique, studs, knot and top, to create these trenches. And instead of going with a design that many people are favoring on YouTube with having all of the different pieces for these salt flats disconnected and just randomly in there, I've chosen to connect all of mine. Now these are only very generic shapes, only one shape being used here, or three if we're being technical, but that is just to help me get my mind around the technique that I had decided to use. Now I do still really like this technique, and you can start to see more of it as we pan across this view. You can see how it all sits there, but I see a few blatant problems with me using this. Now, for one, if we go over here and have a look at how that whole tunnel system goes over, I would still like to be able to access the tunnels. And if I did this method here, I don't see how that will be possible. I'd have to make some sacrifices and just do a whole lot of different things to really be able to use this method. So I'm not quite sure whether at the moment this is the best method for doing the salt flats on Crait. Now I'm going to show you three other alternatives during this video. One of them, or two of them, won't really help out at all for making this problem better, and one of them will. Now, one of them is very similar to another YouTuber, Rich Boy J, and Garrett Crow, and their MOC, which is another Crait MOC, and it's going incredibly. It's a very awesome MOC, and I check out their building segments. They're on every Saturday, I believe. It could be Sunday. I'm sorry, I don't know it off the top of my head, but they have great content, and it's just a great channel. The channel's Rich Boy J. But the way that he's created his salt flats are basically what I have done to run around the trenches to keep this snot technique off, and that's this. He's created the pattern of salt flats just with studs showing and with plates over. Now, why I am now thinking of going with this instead of the studs on top technique is because I can have segments of the MOC which are able to be pulled straight off. So that technically means that when I want access to something such as a tunnel, I can just rip off this large top segment and go straight down in there and bring you guys straight into the tunnel so I can show you all of the detail that's in there. This is one of the smaller tunnels, but I want bigger ones with bigger things in there, mimicking what's in the Star Wars Battlefront 2 DLC, and I just think that'd be such a cool thing. It means that I will have to purchase a lot of different pieces, but I'm not sure. There's positives and negatives. So I may lose this design or an altered version of this design, which is more random with different pieces, but they all still fit together in this fashion, just not in this exact grid, this honeycomb grid. Now, the second option is one that I will show you in just 1 second. I just want to change camera angles so I can show you this method in a better light. Okay, so the second method, and now that we're up here, wow, we're up here, you can see that this is a very grid-like method. But this second method that I'm thinking of is having multiple pieces, such as all of these that I'm putting on the table, that all just sit around. Now it's similar to what other YouTubers are doing, so I'm not sure whether I want to do it, but it would just mean that everything would be very easy to create and I could just throw it all in there, put some pieces together. But that still leaves this large blatant flaw in the design that I can't access the tunnels. I just thought I'd throw that one out to you just so you could have a sort of look. Now I'll quickly reconfigure this into a more natural looking version of Crait just so you can see what my original thoughts for this design would be. And I'll be asking you at the end to choose between all of these designs, and really the future of this Crait MOC, or at least the salt flats of this Crait MOC, will be in your hands. The power will be in your hands, my friends. So please make the right decision. This is going to be a large investment of money, and I want to have something I'm really proud of in the end. So it's in your hands. It's in your hands, guys. Slapping my knees with excitement. So I'll just quickly reconfigure this thing and show you what my original plan was. Now this is a really, really rough kind of version of what I was thinking. I did a better version before, but unfortunately I didn't take any photographs when I made that. But what it really is a lot of not the same pieces, but similar pieces all linking together to make a coherent pattern that all mesh together and create a one flat surface, which eradicates the problem with just putting all of the pieces in randomly, which means you'll get a lot of gaps. So that was my way of countering that and making a much more coherent salt flat. But the problem with this design, and it's one of many with any design, is that it will take a very, 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 very long time to complete. Now, if I had someone helping me with this MOC and who actually really wanted to just do all of this stuff and get involved, it'd probably be easier because I could get them to replicate sections and stuff while I work on the more creative aspects. But I don't have that luxury, and I don't particularly want to have that luxury. I want to create this by myself. So I'm not sure what to do, guys. I did like this design at first, but I just think it'll take so much time and effort to get right, and I need to even order more pieces to get this right, because I forgot the inverted slopes, like this bottom guy here, but they're double and there's only one stud at the bottom, which are a key factor for creating this part of the MOC. So I'm just not sure at the moment what I should do. That's where you come in, that's where you get to make some choices. So every person who watches this video, every single person, I want you to comment down below which of these techniques you would like to build, or like me to build. My mistake. Sorry, I wish you could be building this MOC too. But which one of these techniques you would like me to build. So please, I would much appreciate it if you leave your feedback in the comment section below. This one is one I just can't physically decide on my own. I've been thinking about this all week and it's just too hard for me. So that's why I'm leaving it up to you lovely viewers. So yeah, they're the salt flats, or they were the salt flats. Now I've gone and destroyed that all. Yes, tears are cascading down my face too. They're actually really easy to put back together. It's fine. It's fine. So I guess I'll get on to closing out this segment. I think I've done a decent amount of work and posed you with lots of questions. So, yeah. Time to end it, guys. See you on the flip side.
Now, yes, I give you that one. That was a god-awful pun. Because I am legitimately seeing you on the flip side. of this camera. Yeah, I'd show myself out, but I really need to finish up this video, guys. Now, I have posed you with many a question, and I hope that you all, everyone watching this video, comment down below with your answers to these questions, because I really need to know them. And while you're down there, please give this old video a good old thumbs up, and smash that like button. And of course, turn on the notification thing. It's a little bell. I can't really make a bell with my hands, but yeah, ding, because then you'll be up to date with all the stuff that I'm doing. So that'd be great. So, questions asked. What salt flats would you like, and how would you like them done? They're basically the two questions I'm asking. And also, what do you think of my progress so far? What you like, what you do not like, and what you think could be improved. I'm always up for improving things, and I love hearing feedback. Feedback's like my big thing that I just honestly love. Now, other things I'd like you to do, please contact me on social medias or on my work email, which you can find on my channel page. If you have any photographs or screenshots or gameplays of just going around the Crait map, Crait DLC on Battlefront 2, that'd be really helpful to me, and I will give you a shout out if you provide me with some good details and good background research, I guess. Good reference material, that's the word I was searching for, to really help me along my way to completing Crait in as much detail as I can. So that'd be great. Okay, well, let's end up this video. I think we've done some decent work today, and I just thank you for watching, and thank you for watching the last video, because that has grown to 700 views or more in just this week. I think it's nearly 800 now, and that's pretty big for my channel, which is about 200 subscribers at the moment, just a bit less. So, yes, it's great. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Now, they say only Marvel movies have an after-credit sequence. Think again. Now, in this after-credit sequence, I would like to call out something. A good friend of mine, Chris Productions, and his Jedi Temple series. Now, this Jedi Temple series is soon to start, and I am personally looking very forward to this thing starting because I love his mocks. He's a very great builder and a great guy. So, if you'd like this series to start earlier than its expected date, which I won't divulge here, I would certainly go to any of his videos and pester him extremely about the Jedi Temple series and when it is going to start. That'd be very nice of you. Yes. Now, this is not just on YouTube I'm talking about, social media too. Go pester Chris Productions about the Jedi Temple series. It'll help him along his way to starting. Now, when I say pester, I don't just mean start the Jedi Temple series, I'm typing. I want you to go there and just support his videos and just really support him into starting this series, because he is currently just trying to get back into the flow of things after everything last year. So just go support him. great guy. Support. After credit sequences for Fox Bricks. Support me too. Lots of things that you could do. Just listing off things now. There's lots of things happening. Let's just continue listing things. I don't know. I might cut this. It just doesn't matter. This is canon. This is canon. This is canon. What are you still doing here? Go home. You know, I'm just gonna walk out right here. I think that's the best case of action. I don't know. What do you guys think? So I should probably be building, but it's late at night. Gotta edit this video, you know? This is things I gotta do. The things that I have to do. Well, goodbye, guys. Man, cameras are harder to turn off nowadays. Whoa, what am I doing? There's a button. Oh, there it is.